Go up and look for yourself and see what I put in there. Drug smuggling, narcotics trafficking, weapons sales, robbing the country, looting the country, bribing and paying off government officials, including congressmen and senators, deaths, killing people, attempted murder on myself on several occasions, bribing judges, taking away my child when she was an infant after mother tried to murder her. The Bush-Clinton crime syndicate. They're still in power, folks. They've been in power since the mid-1970s. And if you go back into my website, stewebb.com, look under table of contents, look at the story that Tom Flacco did for us on John F. Kennedy murder and JFK Jr. President of the United States murdered over secret societies because he was going to come out and tell the American people. He was going to tell them the truth about the J-12, the alien connection, the fallen angels, Area 51, saucer bases on the moon and Mars. He was going to tell the American people. He was going to tell them about the treaty from 1954 until the year 2012. The agreement they made with the United States, with Britain, with Israel, with France, with Russia, and with China.
It was going to end the Federal Reserve, too.
Going to end the Federal Reserve and go back to the United States of America's own bank, which had been hijacked in 1913 by a bunch of crooks in Congress and Senate back then that allowed it to happen. They whacked him, folks. He was only one guy. Now, here's what we have. Let's get real. We got 10,000 of these punks that need to be put behind bars have been robbing and looting the United States Treasury and the American people for the past 40, 50 years. They've done 2 presidential coups d'etats, 3 that I'm aware of in my lifetime. First, killing the president, John F. Kennedy. Then Jimmy Carter in October surprise, and then Al Gore. They just flat with the Supreme Court, which is illegal and unconstitutional, allowed him to be occupant of the White House. George W. Bush fraud. The cocaine stored in the AWOL punk mental case with a 92 IQ. We've had 3 coups d'etats. We've had ourselves robbed and looted. Every time you save money, put money away, try to save. It was in the 1980s and 1990s. They robbed you then, took all your money through the savings and loan fraud, junk bond daisy chain fraud. They stole all your money. Then you worked another 10, 15 years building it up in 401ks. Now you don't have a 401k. You got zero balance. They robbed you again. And you sit there and let somebody rob you when you know who it is continuously. You're a fool. What was George Bush's statement, Chris? You fool me once, fool me twice, but what was it? I'm stupid or something if you fool me the third time. Isn't that what dumb Bush said?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I mean, something really stupid.
You know, you know something, Stu? I mean, people got to look at something here. You know, the Surveillance Act and all this kind of stuff. You know, did anybody, I mean, really, if people sit down and think about this now, why in God's earth would they have to surveil all the American people by monitoring computers and telephones, and now they have the remote viewing where they can literally dial up your address and view you in your house, compliments of AT&T and Comcast and other companies that are hooking up the devices to the pole that go to your house that most people aren't even aware of, that they can literally watch you in any room of your house now. This equipment is out there, folks. I know it is because I've seen it myself. And I'll tell you right now that, you know, why do you think you ask yourself a question? Why do you think these criminals have to surveil the American people this way? Because they're doing so many illegal acts is that they're scared. They're scared of being caught in their dirty game. And that's really why they have to surveil us. Not for terrorism, not for any of this, because they made up the terrorists to blow up 9/11 because that was an inside job. There's so much information there that proves that to be the case. And so getting past all that for non-believers that 9/11 was an inside job, because if you have half a brain and you listen to the experts and watch the eyewitness testimony and listen to all of that, it really is conclusive of that. And so why, again, do they have to watch us in our homes? Why do they have to fool around with our computers? Again, they're scared. They're criminals. They're afraid of being hung by a tree where they belong. They're afraid of spending the rest of their lives in jail in their dirty little game of subversion to the United States of America. Now, just one other thing. People, you got to wake up. You have to understand. Just because you live in a country called the United States of America, it's not your God-given right to be free and have liberty, because there are people in our government and outside of our government, even outside this country, who want to end our way of living. And they've been doing it now for a long time. It's time now to push back, to demand your right as a citizen, to pay attention to your local government officials as well as your state officials. This was our fault as citizens. We did not pay attention for many years. And I hear people say, I don't vote and I don't do this. And why should I? Because the elections are being thrown and this and that and the other thing. It is up to us, the citizens of the United States of America, to put this thing back the way it should be. And every one of you out there needs to be doing that.
City Hall. You can fight City Hall. You can make change in government. You can. It's not the voting booths, folks. BlackOpsVoting.com probably got some of the best stuff up there of the election fraud. There's been one election in 2006. It was monitored by elements of U.S. national security, should we say, elements, people within the various, I can't get into it, of what I'm aware of, but we wrote a story that they were going to monitor, and it's under table of contents, other top stories. They kept the election free. They thought they were going to do it in 2008, protecting the satellites, shooting the West Star satellite system, neutralizing where they were going in to commit the fraud. The George Herbert Walker Bush boys out of E-Systems of Dallas, Texas, have stolen West Star satellites with Admiral Bobby Inman, who started the whole thing. That's where your guns, drugs, kidnapping, transportation of children, all the psychotic shit goes on. E-Systems, Dallas, Texas, Operations Homestead Air Force Base, Florida, run by Jeb Bush and the other Bushes, and they're all on the payroll of E-Systems. They're the ones that committed the voter fraud. But we got a problem. The National Security Agency was involved in the 2008 election intentionally, and it was designed where they put chips. We reported it on our website. Go back and look at just right after the election. They put chips inside. They controlled. That's the reason we didn't have change from the voting booth. And we don't even know, and U.S. intelligence doesn't even know how friggin' long this has gone on. How many elections? They can date it back to the early 90s, to the mid-90s. But it could have been going on back in the 80s. You go to the voting booth, you pay your taxes, you got your roof over your head, you're trying to keep the table full of food in the cabinet for the wife and the kids and the whole bed, keep everybody clothed and the whole game, keep the cars in the driveways, trying to go about life, trying to do the right thing, the godly thing that you would do, and be human. And you're being constantly robbed, looted, stolen from. You think that you go to the election booth and it's going to change. And it doesn't. And the same old, pardon expression, shithead gets back in office, doing the same old dirt work for the crime syndicate. This is a crime syndicate, folks. The mob, the mafia, mafia, M-A-F-I-A, mafia, that now controls your government. We got former generals and admirals. We got former colonels at the Red